This is a Renew original recording. Hello and welcome to Believe in People, a British podcast award-winning series about all things addiction, recovery and stigma. My name is Matthew Butler and I'm your host, or as I like to say, your facilitator. Today's episode features John, who shares his journey from a destructive relationship with alcohol to self-improvement through sobriety, photography and social media. He describes the defining moment he decided to quit drinking, emphasising that alcohol negatively impacts his life without him identifying as an alcoholic. John explores the normalisation of binge drinking and drug culture, reflecting on how sobriety allowed him to find purpose in photography, leading to the success of his social media page, Hull and Yorkshire Daily. John discusses the power of social circles, the impact of cutting out negativity, and how solitude became a strength rather than a weakness. This conversation also delves into personal transformation, including John's experiences with cosmetic surgery and his growing interest in psychology and human behaviour. He shares insights on Hull's history, football fandom, and the influence of social media. John also introduces Pathfinders Collective, his initiative to support those seeking positive change, as well as his reflections on fate, personal growth, and the pursuit of authenticity. John, welcome to Believe in People.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's an honour to be on here, actually. I've been looking forward to it.
I'm glad. You've been incredibly open about your journey with sobriety. Can you take me back to the moment when you decided to stop drinking? And was there actually like a single defining moment, or did you find that there was a build-up of things or a series of things that led up to that decision?
I think for me, I was in someone's house at 5 a.m, and it was really like, I sat there and I thought, for the first time, I felt really like broken. Do you know? I was in a bad place and I thought, I don't want to be here. Not in a sense of, in life, I didn't want to be in the room with these people. Because I felt I'd outgrown it, and it was so depressing to me, you know, being 35 years old and still doing that. I think at 20, 21, you can be that guy to a degree, but I think it cuts differently when you're 35 plus. You start thinking deep when you're in that position. And for me, I thought, I don't want this life anymore. And I got in this taxi and I stumbled in this taxi, and on my way home I thought, I am so done with this life. I'm finished. And from that day on, I've not had a drop. So it's gone very well for me. And I would like to clarify, I've never been an alcoholic. But what I have had is a very negative relationship with alcohol where it affected my life so badly.
And I think that's the thing that's important for us to talk about, because you can have problems with alcohol without being an alcoholic, which a lot of people don't realise. And I'll share a quick story. I remember this guy, he said he never drank. He was arrested in the cells. And basically was saying, you know, looks like you're having a problem with the drink. He denied it. And he said, I only drank once in the last year. I said, I can see he was arrested less than 12 months ago. He went, yeah, that was the other time that I drank. So I said,
Wow.
So tell me the 2 times that you've drank, you've been arrested. For me, that's a problem with alcohol. It's not that you're waking up and craving alcohol first thing in the morning. It's every time you drink, there's a problem. And that's what people aren't necessarily realising sometimes as well. It's the bigger picture stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of people, like, they're stuck in, like, a position where they think they're okay because it's so normalised, isn't it? You go out with the lads, you get drunk, you do all sorts of bad things, cocaine, stuff like that, which is rife, by the way. Cocaine is so bad and it's so openly done. And you're thinking, this ain't normal, is it? It's not normal to stick things up your nose like that, but you don't know what's in it. If you tested it and knew what was in it, you'd probably be mortified, wouldn't you?
Well, I think cocaine as well. People used to be quite discreet about using cocaine. Now, I feel like it's in your face, you know, for lack of a better word. It literally is like people making a big deal out of it. There's a lot of comedy related to it. But it's almost like people want you to know that they've been using cocaine, whereas before, people would do it real discreetly and almost like a bit ashamed of it. But the culture of that has changed now as well.
It's interesting because I lived in Marbella for 6 years. So that was my first kind of, you know, when I realised, okay, this is so deeply entwined within people. Like, it was just rife everywhere. Everyone was drinking and they couldn't have it without the other. So they'd be always on coke.
Yeah, go hand in hand.
It was just a chaotic kind of life, you know. And Yeah, you're right.
What were some of the emotions that you was wrestling with then when you decided to obviously become abstinent? You obviously said yourself you wasn't alcohol dependent, you just didn't have a positive relationship with alcohol. And what did the sobriety teach you about yourself that you maybe never understood before?
I think sobriety for me made me find something that I loved, my passion. And for me, that was photography, videography, which it spiraled into videography. So I started off doing photography and then it got into videography. But yeah, it made me kind of look deep amongst myself and try and find what I actually loved. And for me, that was that. But I think everyone has that, don't they?
Yeah.
Everybody has something they're passionate about. But sometimes with alcohol, it can cloud your vision and you don't see that.
Yeah.
Which is sad, really.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back a little bit here and look at your childhood. What was that like? Because we often hear that obviously addiction, problems with substances that you've experienced yourself can often be rooted in unresolved trauma or unmet emotional needs. Do you think your past shaped the choices that you made later in your life?
I didn't have a bad childhood, to be fair. I think if I sat here and said I did, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
I think everyone has some negative experiences as a kid. You would have had, anyone walking the street would have had, but nothing too horrific, you know? So, yeah, I didn't have a bad childhood, really. But I think growing up, hitting like 18, 19, I was with the wrong crowd, you see.
Yeah.
So, in with the wrong crowd, I made terrible decisions, and with that became alcohol.
You've spoken about loneliness being one of the biggest challenges of sobriety. Beyond just obviously the absence of people, loneliness can be an existential state. So did sobriety change your relationship with yourself, and what did you learn about that solitude and that loneliness that you was facing?
I learned that being alone is okay, and it's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
I'm always alone. 90% of my life is spent alone. But I choose to be alone, you see. I don't want to be around a lot of people, and that suits me. I mean, everyone's different, but I've learned to master being alone.
Yeah.
And I think it's a superpower, if anything.
Yeah, because you come across as quite an extroverted person. Like I've described myself before as an extroverted introvert, and people say there's no such thing, you're either one or the other. And I was like, no, I think I present as this extrovert, and I can be quite, chatty and present as outgoing. But if it was choice, I would like to be just left alone for a majority of the time. Do you relate to that?
Absolutely. I think when I used to go out, I used to think, people must think I'm real sociable. I'm a sociable kind of guy, but really behind it, no, I'm not sociable, really. I like being alone. Yeah. I think when I'm alone, that's where I find my inner peace. Yeah. No one's disturbing my peace, right? Yeah. And it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Do you get anxious, like, being around people, or is it like, is there a reason for the wanting of the isolation, the way it makes you feel mentally?
Do you know, it's an interesting question because I don't actually know.
No.
I mean, being around people sometimes is quite a negative thing.
Yeah.
Depending who you're with.
Yeah.
Of course, but I've realised as I've got older, I've kind of shut my circle of friends down a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've changed that.
For what reason?
Personal growth, I think. I think if I'm around people that are negative and doing negative things and I deem it negative, I can't be around you because it's not proactive in my life. It doesn't help me,
Did you find it easy to cut people off in that way, or was it quite a difficult thing to do? Because I often think, like, some of my friends I've been friends with for 20 plus years, we get along, but we're not alike, not in the way that we used to be when we was younger. And it's almost sometimes I question, like, are we only friends because we've been friends for X amount of time, as opposed to actually having anything in common now?
You actually start to question it, don't you?
Yeah.
Is this real friendship because we're bonding over alcohol and drugs or any narcotics? And it's like, yeah, you do question that, don't you?
Yeah.
I think you go for that phase. Did I feel bad cutting people out? Not really, because I think it was healthy and it served me better.
Yeah.
And I've grown a lot the past year, so it's been certainly beneficial to me.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be that guy. I don't think you can be too much like that. I don't think it serves you well,
Did you ever get questioned by anyone when you have sort of cut them out of your life or distance yourself from them?
Do you know, I think when I first stopped drinking, I'd go in a pub and they'd come out with all these, trays. Sorry, I'm struggling now.
No, go on.
I'm struggling with nerves at the minute.
Okay.
I might need a few minutes.
It's all right.
Trying to think.
It's going to be edited as well,
Do you know what? I'm not going to fail because I owe it to people, I think, who's been supportive of me. So I'm not going to throw the towel in, but
No.
I just need a few minutes, I think.
Yeah, no, it's
absolutely
fine.
fine.
Tell us when you're ready.
Again, I was massively confident when he was like, it's on. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. But yeah, I think in terms of cutting people out of my life, I think it's been easy-ish. I think I've been okay with it. I've accepted that it's the only way to grow, is to sometimes cut people out, you know. And I think that's the problem. I was having a chat earlier about someone and we were saying about her circle of friends and I said, that's really like affected you, you know.
Do you think do you think loneliness can be a positive thing? Because I think the word loneliness, we instantly think of things, negative emotions that come with it, or that people don't want to be lonely, that people need to be connected. But I personally think there is something in that. What's your opinion on loneliness being a positive thing?
I think so, because I think when you see someone sat alone in a pub or something, people instantly think, oh, you feel sorry for him. But I'm nearly always sat alone, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love just tranquility, you know, no one's bothering me.
Yeah.
I'm in me in a peace, so it's good.
See, I like going to the cinema alone.
Yeah, I've done that.
And I don't
Have you done that often, though?
Yeah, quite. I've done it a few times, and I think the thing is,
Are you self-conscious that someone's going to say something?
that is my only issue. I used to have one of them Cineworld cards. I could go see as many films as I want, you know, for like £15 a month, I think it was. So going by myself all the time. But the only thing that bothered me was and whether there was or not, I felt like people was looking at me like, oh, look at that guy alone. And that was the only thing that bothered me about it. Was I felt like people was either thinking that I had no friends or that I didn't have anyone to come with. It was a choice, you know. I wanted to be there and I wanted to be
That's
by
the funny
myself.
thing, right? Because I think I've been there where I've sat in and I thought, oh, people think he's a loner and he's got no friends. But really, I'm thinking, I'm in my element. Do you know what I mean?
Because you can't
It's
talk
like
to people in there anyway, can you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I always, like the idea of cinema as a first date is often a terrible idea because you just sat in silence with each other.
It's
for
a disaster.
Like, exactly, yeah. And then you come out and be like, oh, that was good. So
you have an initial chat, don't you? Like, I can't even think.
Yeah, so I really enjoy it. But the only thing, like you just said then, is the idea of people looking at me or taking pity on me or thinking that I'm weird. That's the only bit that bothers me.
Do you know what? I
But
still
the
get
act
that.
itself doesn't. Yeah,
I still get that. You know, if I go out and I'm sat alone, I think, are there? But then I realise no one really gives a shit. Let's be honest.
I think that's it. Again,
It's the same with gym, innit? When someone goes to the gym and they're self-conscious, they're thinking,
everyone's looking at
someone's
them.
looking at me and no one's looking. No one even cares. Just crack on with it.
I always say this, you know what, people, I say this to my wife all the time, but people are too busy with their own shit to care about
stresses.
your shit. Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
your own stresses in life, and so do I.
Yeah.
To sit in a gym and go, oh, look what they're doing. No one actually cares when you think about it.
No one cares.
That's the interesting thing, but it's all psychology, innit? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I've become obsessed with that, you see, psychology and
Okay.
how the brain works. I'm very, deeply into that. So.
Tell me more about that then. When did that start? Is it something
Probably a
you've
couple of
always
years ago, actually. I started delving into human behaviour, human patterns, and how the brain works and stuff like that. So I found that very interesting.
What brought that on to look into
I
that?
don't know. I think I'm just a deep,
Yeah.
spiritual guy, and I look at things very deeply. You know.
Fair.
Even when I go to gym in the morning, I'm like, the same cars are parked in the same spot.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
There's closer spots, but it's in the same spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I don't sound like a loony.
Yeah,
but
no, it's right. When I go and do my big shop, I always tend to park in the same area. It's a bit of a walk, even if there's no cars. It's like when I facilitate training, if it lasts for multiple sessions, like over 6 weeks, you know, the first session, the next session, everyone comes in and they take the same seats they took the week before. And I'm like, why is that?
it's interesting, isn't it? Like if you've got a partner and you go to bed, you both have a side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually.
And even if you go... Even if you go
and it's like
abroad,
massively offensive to take your side.
Absolutely.
Get to your side.
Yeah. But even if you go like on holiday somewhere, you find that you still sort of take the same sides or in somewhere like closest to the door, for instance, or closest to the. But yeah, it's the I get
Don't you find that fascinating?
Yeah, because it's the subconscious decisions that we're making.
Do you think it's like it's a comfort? Do you think there's some comfort in that?
I think we'd like comfort in routine and what we know. So I think we try and keep things as routine as we can, even when we're out of routine.
Honestly, if you see me in the morning, I go to the gym and I'm like, same car.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Is everything's the same? I'm like, it's like the Truman Show.
That's what it is like. It's like Truman Show.
The Truman Show.
Going back to alcohol then specifically, you know, alcohol can often fill a void, and I think when you remove it, you're sort of left staring into that empty space. Now, you've made significant physical changes. Your hairline, your teeth, your nose.
Thanks to Turkey.
It's all right. That's
Sponsored by Istanbul.
But do you think that transformation in yourself has become another addiction?
I think so. I think you can have an unhealthy addiction as well with going to Turkey, you know.
Yeah.
I know people who can't stop going back.
What for? For like cosmetic procedures? Yeah.
I went with a friend of mine. We got our teeth done, I think it was, first. He's gone back home and so did I. We both lived in Spain. And I'm like, I need to go back again. I want to get my nose done. Yeah. So it was almost like I kept looking in the mirror and wanting to improve it. I'm like, I'm never happy with myself that way. You know, it's quite sad, really.
But where does that come from then, to look at yourself and not feel happy enough to? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think there'd be anybody listening to this that doesn't look in the mirror and think, oh, I'd like to make a few changes here and there. But to go and do something about it, not just once, but like multiple times, where does that come from? Like that self-consciousness in yourself and your appearance?
I believe is a deep link to people who are, how can I say it? Deeply unhappy inside in some regard. To keep changing your face. Yeah. But the problem is, of course, is what I used to look in the mirror and I'm like, I see another fault. Okay. There's another fault there. I need to fix that. When really we should look at ourselves and be like, I'm fine the way I am, you know?
Has anyone ever said anything to you that prompted you to want to go and make these changes?
No, not really.
So this is something that, do you know when you said about the way we look at other people and think, oh, that guy in the cinema by himself, he must be so... Same thing with yourself. No one's actually proactively said things. You're just looking in the mirror, and is it something that you don't like about yourself, or do you think, oh, maybe people think my nose is, I don't know what your nose looked like before, too big, too small? It's
a bit more pointy.
Okay, yeah, his nose is too pointy. I need to get that. So no one's ever said that. That was just something that you thought.
No, do you know what it was? It was a buzz for me. I think I got a buzz out of changing something that was permanent. Yeah, it's almost like tattoos for me. I knew if I get a tattoo, it's a permanent addition, right? So I'd get a buzz when I walked out. So surgery was like, wow, this is fantastic. Yeah. What can I get next? Yeah. Can you do my hairline?
Because you look nothing like how I imagined you to look. That's the interesting thing. I don't know what I thought. It's not that I had any sort of pre-notion of what you look like. But when I was told, obviously, that you've had cosmetic work done, and I think when I saw that picture of you from the Hull City QPR game, I was like, oh, you didn't look like how I imagined him to look. Do you know? And
I get that a lot.
Well, yeah, I don't know where that comes from in terms of it. It's just, I don't know. I think talking about links with alcoholism, and obviously these things around your self appearance. Do you think those things are connected in any way? Because you talk about that. You talk about that internal, that deep unhappiness internally to get those things changed. Was that something that you was experiencing yourself?
Do you know what? For me, again, I was just chasing a rush, and it was like, I always want something else. So when my friend's had his teeth done, he's all right. He's like, oh, I've got new teeth. I'm like, yeah, but I want something else. You know, I want my nose doing now. And then it's like, again, where do you draw the line? It's a very vicious cycle, isn't it, if you get stuck down that route.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Do you think you'd get more work done then?
I don't think so. No. Maybe a six-pack.
Yeah.
No.
Are you content with how you look now?
I am content. Do you know, I look in the mirror and I'm relatively happy.
Yeah, relatively.
I accept myself. I accept things for what they are. I take accountability for everything. Everything's my fault because it makes my life easier that way. Yeah. Because I think when I was younger, nothing was my fault. Yeah. Ever. It would always be someone else's fault. You know, pointing the finger, made my life easier. But as I've got older, I'm like, nah, everything's my fault now. Makes my life a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I suppose it is, rather than blaming. Sounds like that Rocky quote.
I think accountability is very important, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
don't think a lot of people are truly
accountable.
Yeah, and it's dangerous. I think it's a very bad character trait.
I think that can come from our own individual childhoods as well. Like, nobody ever wants to be in trouble, do they?
No,
I used to hate
it. No one wants to accept the wrong.
Exactly.
That is a hard thing to do. Yeah. But I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong and say, listen, I was wrong. Yeah. You was right and I was wrong.
That's the thing as well, especially with the modern day of social media, like arguing online. You're never going to change anyone. I used to argue about things online.
That is a bad habit.
I know. I used to spend hours arguing with people online, and one day the penny just dropped, and I thought, you know what? I'm never going to change someone's opinion online. You can't. I don't think you can. I could write paragraphs. I could provide all the evidence in the world to say this is why I'm right. But out of stubbornness, And the echo chambers in which we're living in social media, algorithms are part of that. If you have a particular interest, you go through your algorithm, it's the same things that you'll be seeing all the time. Once you've engaged with something, and that's what happens with social media, you engage with something that reinforces your belief, you scroll through, you find something else that again reinforces that belief or thought. Next thing you know, your entire algorithm is just everything that you agree with or that agrees with you. And that's where people live. And anything that challenges that or lives outside of that, people don't want to know and they'll argue the toss with it.
I've actually blocked many people.
I'm not blocked, but what I have done is...
That's the golden question.
Yeah, I've snoozed people for 30 days because then I found that gets them out of the algorithms anyway, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Do you know when you cut people out of your life? I hate it when I cut people out. And people I barely had anything to do with, but suddenly they appear and they'll be like, oh, how come you delete me off Facebook and stuff like that? I'm like...
That is dead awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, well, because I don't really talk to you anymore. Yeah. And rather than just having those conversations, I just snooze people. They're out the algorithms, I don't see them, they won't see me, and you just don't have to have that awkward conversation. Because it is dead awkward. Isn't it? Yeah, people that you've been friends with for years, but you don't necessarily...
There's a few people I've blocked and I'm like, oh shit, that's...
Yeah, you don't want to have those conversations.
I don't know what to say, it's like, oh...
I went through a thing.
I'm the guy that blocked you.
Yeah. I went through my Facebook recently and just started unfollowing loads of pages and leaving loads of groups and stuff because I was like, these are things that I joined years ago when I had particular interest in certain things. But I think social media is that massive echo chamber, really. And
I found it mostly positive.
Yeah, well, this is it. That I think if you
99%,
if you follow positive things, then your social media will be positive. And I think what was happening when I was saying I was arguing with people online, I was engaging with negative things, so now I was being presented with more negative things.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's your ego, yeah. If someone comments something negative about me on my post, which is very rare, by the way, so bloody rare, I'm like, that's just my ego, innit? You don't have to like me anyway. Yeah. Why should you have to like me? Why should you have to like my photograph? You shouldn't have to. But then I block them.
Yeah, well, and then you think,
because I think you're going to do it on every single post.
That's it, yeah.
My page ain't about that. My page is a positive place. I don't want people like saying negative things all the time, you know. Yeah. If they're not writing on my post, but on someone else's. So.
No, but I guess that's it. I mean, talking about the page and that you've done, Hull and Yorkshire Daily used to be Hull 01482, but you've expanded a little bit.
I've changed it twice now.
Have you?
But I'm sticking with this one.
Okay. What was it before 01482?
Oh, do you know? Capturing Hull.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had about 10 followers and walking about in the freezing cold, you know. Yeah. Getting my content, so it was nice. It's nice to watch something build up from the very scratch, you know.
Yeah. Well, I follow a lot of like classic pages, and going to the algorithms, I started liking some older pictures of Hull, of what certain areas used to look like, 50, 60 years ago. Next thing I know, I'm getting ones from like Leeds, Sheffield.
Yeah,
and even like further, like
on the algorithm,
like Aberdeen, like old fit, and I'm like,
I get that,
and it's all these old places now we're starting to look up. It's like historical buildings and stuff because I've engaged with it now.
Yeah, that's
what keeps coming up. But going back to your page, it's growing massively. It started as a personal distraction into a movement with tens of thousands of followers now. But beyond numbers, what does the success actually mean to you? To get that page off the ground in the way that you have done? Success
to me is being authentic.
Yeah.
And helping people more than the followers, more than money. So that's what I'm there for mainly. If anything good comes off the back of that, that's fantastic. But I always think if you're authentic and real in this city, people will love you. And,
absolutely.
I feel like every day when I walk around, people are very kind and say complimentary things, so it's good.
Well, do you know, obviously I mentioned then about starting it as a personal distraction. A personal distraction to what? Why did it start, I guess?
Well, I think when you binge drink on a Friday and Saturday, sometimes on a Sunday, you're left with a void. And so I think I need to fill that void, you see. So photography was a fantastic way where I can just get about by myself, mind my own business and get content. And it kept me from pubs, doing the bad things. So, it's fantastic.
You said then about like helping people and stuff. How do you think your page does help people? Because there is a community there. If you look at the comment section and what's going on, you have created a community within your page.
Some people say some incredible things, and I don't forget that. I'm so grateful of the followers. People are so kind, and it's really, really amazing.
Is there a pressure to it?
No, I don't think so, because I love buildings, I love taking pictures, I love videos. So to me, it's not a chore. I love what I do. And I'm passionate about sharing this city. I think there's some amazing things in this city.
I've never been like all in on social media, but talking to people that have worked as influencers, is there a pressure if you like post a photo and it gets like 700 likes, but then you post another one and it only gets like 50?
But you know what's weird? Yeah, sometimes it's like a picture and I'll go, that is the money shot, and I'm like, that's going to get loads of interactions, and it's like, that was a bit of a flop. Then I'll do one and I think, oh, that wasn't too great, but then it'll get like 2,000 likes and loads of comments. I'm like, well, that's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there pressure to, I suppose, chase that engagement as well with the work that you do?
I think the only pressure we have is the pressure we put on ourselves in it at the end of the day. But I think people know when I'm posting videos and pictures that I'm passionate about it. I think you can see that with my videos. I love nothing more than getting videos and cropping it together. So really, like, I don't know, I'm in my zone. Puts me in my element.
Obviously, you're from Hull yourself.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Ezel.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, I prefer Hull to be
Yeah, come on.
I'm not knocking Ezel.
It's all, to be fair, it's all the same.
It's all good, yeah.
It's like when people from Beverley say they're from Beverley, and I'm like, you're from Hull. You're in a HU post.
Yeah.
We're sticking
We're all
with
the same here, aren't we?
We're sticking with that, yeah.
But you know what? I will say the followers have been fantastic and truly amazing. I'm so deeply grateful to them for following and engaging and being so kind. I don't forget that.
What do you, to have that following, tell me what you like about doing it. Because I noticed you'd gone away recently. You've expanded to Yorkshire now as well. Yeah. So a few train
rides. Stand still.
No, a few train rides out.
A friend of mine said, don't do it, you're going to regret it. But then after about a month, I thought, nah, I don't regret it. I think it's a good move. But
I do actually, because it
Hull's my bread and butter, let's be honest. But yeah, it's nice to get about.
What do you like about doing it then? Obviously, distraction is something that you
There's
said originally.
There's something about getting the perfect picture to me. And Hull has a lot of great streets and things to photograph. You know, there's a lot of amazing buildings here. A lot of people forget that.
I think historically as well, because obviously, knowing the history of the city, it was heavily bombed during World War II. But there's still a lot of very authentic and old-looking places. I mean, that's why it's quite
some amazing places.
A big filming place, isn't it? Like, I think there was a few roads being closed over the past couple of years for movies that have been filming near in Hull because of its old look and old style. The Crown, I think, was one of them recently from
people
Netflix.
Don't realise that, do they? They walk on and say, "Oh, it's all right, done." But people sometimes come out of my post. I'm like, I don't know where you're looking, but where I'm looking, it's pretty good. There's a lot of amazing buildings with history behind it.
You recognise now, obviously, for doing this venture, do you know, and it's probably one of the city's biggest media outlets at the moment. And I suppose influence can be both empowering and overwhelming. How do you navigate the responsibility of shaping narratives, knowing that people look to you for inspiration?
I just keep it real.
Yeah.
Be authentic, don't be fake. I think people in this city know if you're fake.
Yeah.
So stay authentic, be true to yourself. Don't be cocky. No one likes that. But no, I think it keeps me on a straight and narrow, you see.
Did you expect to be recognised? I know it was your birthday recently.
I'm actually quite introverted, you see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You might not think that because I'm always on there, but I don't like fuss. I don't like birthdays. I don't like anything fussy. Yeah. I don't really like Christmas, to be honest. Because it's just fuss, isn't it?
Yeah, just fuss.
Yeah.
But for people to be shouting to you and wishing you a happy birthday and stuff, especially when I mentioned it just before we started recording, your page isn't about you. It's about the city. It's about Yorkshire. It's about the environment. Of course, there's the occasional picture of you that's posted, but very rarely. So, was you ever expecting to be recognised?
No, because when I started it, I got to about 8,000 followers, and people were like, "Who is this mystery guy?" And it was like, I thought there was an idea for me just to keep it without me in
like
it.
Banksy.
Yeah, like Banksy. I thought I'll stay like Banksy. That'd be so interesting. You know, I'd go to the pub and my mates would be like, "Who's that guy?" You know, and I'm just stood there like,
Who is it?
I did actually debate doing that, you know, but then after 8,000 followers, I woke up one morning and I thought, nah.
Put a face to the
identity reveals.
Yeah. Put a face to the.
Some people were surprised, but I think there was people on my page that probably didn't like me and they probably unfollowed me, like, oh, it's him.
I thought I was that no bad,
The previous me, by the way. I don't do anything bad now. So.
Well, listen, talk to me about that then, the previous version of yourself and how things have changed, because it does seem like, obviously, I mean, there's the physical appearances that we've talked about already. Tell me what are some of the biggest changes that you've noticed in yourself from previously to who you are today?
I feel a lot more confident in myself, and I've always struggled with confidence, so that's improved a lot. Even being sat here takes a lot courage and confidence, or as a sign of growth for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just work with that, I think.
That's all you can do, I suppose, isn't it? You mentioned being authentic being the key to your success. So I suppose in a world where social media encourages perfection, how do you ensure that you do remain authentic to yourself?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I just keep carrying on what I'm doing. I just focus on the videos and pictures more so than myself, you see.
Yeah.
If it becomes about me, it's a bit, I don't know, narcissistic. So
I get that, yeah.
People are like, oh, it's all about him. Yeah. It's like, no, it's about this city.
I think I
love this city. My heart belongs here and I love it.
With the, like you say, the interest in psychology and stuff in yourself, I guess what's the work that you have been doing to yourself in order to reach this place? But despite the physical things, again,
I've spent thousands of hours working on myself.
Yeah.
Thousands, just sat alone, by myself in my room, watching, reading, personal growth. It's become a habit and almost an obsession for me to better myself every day. I think that's a very good thing to strive for. Walk
me through that. How does that look then? Spending them hours, what is it that you're doing?
A lot of people couldn't do it, but I don't mind being alone, as you know. Yeah, I'll just sit at home, read books, Robert Greene, things like that. Things that I find interesting about psychology and how I can elevate myself to become a better person, really.
You mentioned earlier about like spirit, being spiritual. Do you follow any sort of like religion or spiritualism? Or?
I believe there's a God.
Yeah,
and I'm drawn to Christianity. I don't know about you, but
I'm do you know what?
It's a grey area, isn't it? Because
it is, because
if I bring religion up, I'm alienating people, you see, so I'm very wary of that.
I think for me, it's just the fact that me and you are sat right here, right, like right now, in this, everything that's going on around us, the fact we live on a planet where everything is just the resources that we're, just the fact that we're here.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's if you really think about it, it's just a bit mind-boggling.
Do you know what? Every single night when I lay in bed, I always think, why am I here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why do we exist? There's got to be more to just going to work and coming home, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be more than that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's why I don't sleep properly.
I think
but
I always say I'm open to the concept of religion. What I don't like is religion being this very structured idea. And I think when I meet people who do have faith in this really structured way of and a belief system that's so structured, I'm like, how do you have that? Like, this happened on this day and God said this and then this happened, and it's like, I just don't believe it where it's all like that. If there is a God, if there is a higher power, I just don't believe it's anything within our understanding.
Yeah, I partially agree with that.
Because it's like, I believe in the Big Bang Theory, but then someone says, well, what happened before the Big Bang? And it's almost like, did someone cause the Big, or something cause the Big Bang,
yeah,
you know?
It just blows my mind. Yeah. I'm like, for me, I'm always trying to find who I am, because I'm like, who even am I?
Yeah.
And when I do digging about the world and planets, I'm like, I'm so meaningless.
Yeah.
I don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So when I have an ego, sometimes we all have egos.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I put myself back to bed. I'm like, I'm just nobody. Yeah.
Yeah.
In this world, I'm just a nothing.
There's a video which it shows Earth, and then it zooms out.
I've seen that.
It shows the solar system. Yeah. It shows the solar
I'm thinking
system.
that right now. I'm like, you know.
Then it shows stars, and it just goes on and on and on to the biggest things in our discovery.
I think it starts off something like, you are anxious, yeah? And it's just a guy sat here and he goes, further, like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like so meaningless.
Well, that's it. But some people find that really scary, but I find
it quite scary.
I find it comforting.
But when we die, where do we go? That's the question.
Yeah.
Where do we go?
I believe the same thing happens that happened before we was born.
Yeah, it's
just
like
return to nothingness.
It's scary in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Last night I was laying in bed and I had like heartburn, I think, and I'm like, oh God, I think I'm on my way out. I've got a podcast tomorrow. I'm like, oh no,
I can't die today.
What a terrible time to die.
Time to die.
I was actually thinking that in my head. I'm like, I can't die now.
Yeah.
Maybe the day after.
Yeah, maybe the day after once we've done that.
If we don't, still post it.
Yeah, well, I'll do. Don't get me wrong. We will.
Disclaimer,
still post it. Yeah. But no, I do. I do like that deep thinking, really, and like I say, for me, sometimes I'm a very anxious person, so I
couldn't tell sitting here.
No, but there's a lot of, again, it's kind of what you said. It's that
you hide it though, don't you? You mask it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
And that's a skill itself.
Yeah.
I'm never sat here, but
yeah, but you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've done podcasts in the past where just before we started recording, I've had like a bit of a mini panic attack, and then you've come in,
Really?
and then no one had ever.
that's quite reassuring to a guest, though. Someone sat here
Do you know
and
what?
say that.
I have shared that with a few people in the past when they seem quite nervous about doing the podcast. I was like, don't worry, I said, like, because I think I understand it. For me, I sometimes get anxious about not being trapped, but the fact that it's like, right, I'm stuck in conversation now for the next hour and a half, sort of thing at most, and it's like. That can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming.
Daunting, yeah.
Whereas like I've got to remind myself, actually, man, if you want to stop or you want to go out there, the same thing I said to you. You ever want to stop and you just want to go out?
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
We're
with
only
that.
human, right?
Exactly, yeah.
If you take away this microphone, and we're in a pub,
Exactly, yeah.
I'd be 10 times more confident. But
Yeah. But
it's just the scenario, your brain starts going, oh, actually, I should be nervy. I should be this and that, but you just got to forget it, haven't you, I think?
Absolutely, yeah. You've launched Pathfinders Collective, which is a support group for people on their own journeys of change. So what inspired you to create this?
I had a vision last year and I thought, right, I want to grow a platform and I want to spawn off the back of that something positive, Everything's positive, so I want to help people. That's the forefront of all my mind. I think I need to help people. So that's for a group where people can be honest about themselves, the problems they're facing, and we can just help one another, maybe meet up for coffees and things like that. So that was my reasoning behind that, which I plan to be a lot more active in going forward. Just see how it goes.
What do you think people truly need when they're wanting to break them cycles of whether it be addiction,
Good friend network, I think.
Do you think that's the main thing?
That is number one.
Yeah.
100%.
Having a big support
I think
network.
your circle of friends determine your future.
Yeah.
All day long. And if I look back at my life, being 16, 15, 17, I'm hanging around with people and I'm thinking, that ain't healthy.
Yeah.
It's just people with no ambition or, it's not good. You need to really look in the mirror and change your circle of friends.
Yeah. I think
that's the number one thing I would do.
Yeah. Circle of friends are so important because I often think about this is like, I've got my daughter, she's 3, and there's conversations about, she's like your dad, or do you know, my wife says, you like your dad, and I'm like, you like your mum, but the reality is you only get that for a small window of time, and then it becomes them influences from friendship groups. And like I would argue that I am more like my friends than I am like my mum or my dad.
Right.
Because of the influence that your friends have on you. And I think it's you see it with what we do in terms of addiction. I've done an outreach. I remember doing an outreach, and I turned up, and there was this real big, like 4-bed detached house, and that was the address on it. And I knock on the door, and I'm thinking, I've got the wrong house here because, again, there was this almost stereotype made of where I'd be going, and I'd be looking at the social background of that person's situation, and I'm thinking, and then like his dad opened the door, and I said, I'm here to. He said, yeah, come on in, and I'm looking, I'm thinking, how has this happened when you've got a wealthy family, a really nice house, but then when you start to unpick that conversation, he talked a lot about his friendship circles and his influences with his friends and how it started for him. And it's like, so even though he'd come from this really good, like I suppose like I said, I mean, he spoke highly of his mum and dad, but even though he came from this really positive background, it was still the social circles that derailed him and took him off track, really. So I don't think people realise how important those influences and those circles are in terms of shaping us as individuals as well.
Yeah, it's massively important, isn't it? It has a massive bearing to where you're heading in life, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't think people should be ashamed of changing your friends. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
I don't hate you. I don't hate anyone. There's no one on the planet I hate.
Yeah.
People might hate me, but I don't hate them.
You don't hate
It's a one-way hate, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a waste of my energy. Like, why would I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, so, that's a weird one.
Looking ahead to, I suppose, this year and beyond, what's next for you then? And do you feel like you're actively shaping your future, or does it feel like it's kind of just unfolding in ways that you never expected it to?
I feel life was meant to pan out for me this way. I feel like I was meant to do pictures, videography, I was meant to grow. Going forward, I think I want to just triple my followers because I'm doing something positive, not negative. So, just keep ploughing on with my content and having faith in what I'm doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose faith is an interesting one. Do you believe in fate, or do you think that you do create your own
I think
path?
so, to a degree.
Yeah.
I think people in our lives are not for a very good reason, right? And sometimes when someone leaves my life, I think someone's seen something above that maybe I didn't see.
Yeah.
Maybe it was destiny and it was meant to pan out this way.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, do you know what? I like it. I find it comforting. I find destiny and fate to be a comforting thing, because I think when life does throw you a bit of a curveball and you're not where you feel like you're supposed to be, I think there's an element of just thinking, right, just be patient. This is supposed to happen in time. It'll all work out. I think that can be quite a comforting thing. But then I also, when I talk about things that, frustrate me, is like the idea of that everything is out of my control and that everything is happening because it's supposed to happen. Sometimes I can find it the opposite. I can find it overwhelming.
Therapeutic to know. Like, if someone's not in my life, I'm very happy with that now. It don't bother me. Before, I'd be very bitter. I'm like, what, you don't want to be with me? It's quite arrogant, really, when I think about it. It's like, it is what it is. If no one's in my life, and I'm cool with that.
Get hung up on it sort of thing.
Yeah.
I get that. I've got a series of questions that I'm going to ask, but I've got a bit of a twist on them this time, because obviously I think talking about enjoying thought-provoking questions, I'm going to ask you, what is your favourite word and why?
I don't think I want to air that.
Go on. No, you can do.
It's quite an awful word. And I don't swear. I try not to swear because, I'm quite old school.
Yeah.
Women watch stuff like this.
Okay.
And older people.
I know what word you're going to say. Most people could probably...
My mum will probably be watching it, so...
Does it...
It begins with a C.
Does that word hold any personal meaning for you then?
It begins with a C, and it's very powerful, and if I stub my toe, I'll probably shout it. So.
What's your least favourite word? Something that evokes...
Oh, do you know what it is?
Go on.
The word ick.
Ick.
What gives you the ick? And I see people walking around the mic. What gives you an ick? I'm like,
the
what gives you an ick? Because you're using that word ick. What,
people
I've never
using the
even
word
is that?
ick. Yeah.
Never heard that since like a few years ago.
Does it evoke...
So the ick gives me the ick.
Yeah. I get that. Frustration is what I'd say that comes with.
Yeah.
Tell me something that excites you, whether that be creatively, spiritually, or emotionally.
Women.
Just in general?
Yeah, I love women. Pictures, photography, Hull City, of course.
Yeah.
It's been a rough season, but yeah, probably them three. Obviously, family makes me happy as well. But
is there a moment or experience that makes you feel truly alive?
Taking a picture.
Yeah.
That might sound really boring.
No. I think it.
You get happy taking pictures? No, genuinely, I'm in my element. Yeah.
I took one of my favourite pictures I ever took. It was on.
I need to see these pictures, man.
Yeah, I'll have to show you this one. It was on a Polaroid camera, and I took it, and I was on Brooklyn Bridge, and I took the picture, and it was just to get a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's a guy holding up his girlfriend in the air, like almost like spinning her, and I didn't realise at the time, because obviously with a Polaroid, I just took the picture, and then I remember being on the bus back up to my hotel in Times Square, looking at this picture, thinking, wow, what a moment I just captured there.
Yeah.
So I think there is something in photography of like, that couple there, they might even be together now, God knows, but I captured a moment in time. And I think
it's never going to happen again.
It's never going to happen again.
When you take a picture, it's never going to happen again. If I'm taking a video, them sequence of events will never happen again.
Yeah.
It's once in a moment.
Yeah.
And that's why I get so fascinated by it.
And I don't think people look at photography with that same deep meaning that they should do.
And if I'm walking about, sometimes I'll be taking a video. Oh no, I'll see something. I need to video that. I'm trying to get my phone as quick as I can. I'm trying to record it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just missed that. That's a moment in time. And I'm like, I can never get that back. I'm slow off the mark here. I need to be quicker.
It's a bit of a sad question, but like if you go to a gig or a concert or something, like I think most people tend to watch the entire concert with the phone in their hand, filming it for social media.
For me, like music concerts.
No,
I've never digged it.
I guess the opposites of what we're talking about now. Do you ever just allow yourself to just experience the moment without the photography, without the video? Do you ever just...
It's very hard now because of what I do,
Yeah.
I used to go to the football. That was my escape of just, I'm doing nothing. I'm just going to watch the game. Now I turn to the football, I'm like, oh, that'd be a good picture.
Yeah.
So it almost distracts me at everything I do now. Everywhere I go, I'm like, I need a picture of that.
Yeah, I was going to say that must be quite frustrating.
Yeah,
I think that's the modern world now, isn't it?
It's becoming an addiction to me.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I'm like, I need to take a picture.
Yeah.
My ex-partner was driving down a country road, and I'm like, stop!
And
Stop the car! She's like, can't we just go out for a meal? I'm like, no, look at the sunset. I'm like, please, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, this page taking over your life. I'm like, come on, like, it's a picture, but it can be a bit overbearing, I guess. But it's serving me well.
It is.
It's having that cut-off point. If you've got a partner, I need to know when to like, all right, let me just have some beans on toast and chill with you.
I don't need to take pictures of my beans.
Yeah, it gets intense, but also because people have been so supportive of me. I feel it's so important for me to message back. So I'm very responsive on my posts, you see.
Yeah.
So if I'm sat with someone like my ex-partner or something, let's call her Jane.
Yeah.
Whatever's sake. I don't want a lawsuit.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like, why are you responding? I'm like, listen, I'll be 10 minutes. I have to respond to people because I know and I appreciate how much support they've given me. I can't ignore that. It gets me in trouble.
Did you, obviously, you mentioned ex-partner then. Has this sort of the photography?
I blame the photography now. Blame me.
But is it having like an impact on your personal relationships? Like
I think so. I'm happy alone. You see, I'm not that bothered.
Yeah.
I mean, again, life is what it is. I still have feelings for people and they're not in my life, but I'm like, I'm cool with that. That's fine. As long as I'm better with myself, then that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a cut-off point, isn't there,
That's
to
it.
work. And even yourself, if you go home and you're constantly talking about work, it's like, God's sake, can't we just, TV?
Well, this is it.
You need that switch-off button.
I'm very guilty of just, I don't talk about anything really. I'm quite a closed book and how was your day? Yeah, it was fun. And it might have not been fun. Well, this is it. I think, do you know what? It sounds awful, this, but I think in my head, I've kind of created this idea of, and I've done it. I've walked past someone and gone, "Hey, you all right?" And I'm just expected to go, "Hey, you all right?" And then they've gone, "No, not really." And then they've given me the life story.
That's a curveball, that.
I know. And I'm thinking, fuck, I don't actually care right now. I've got my own stuff
awkward,
on.
Isn't it?
I know, and you've got to wait. Yeah. And it's like, it sounds really negative that to say I don't care, because obviously you do, but I think in a way I just don't want that. I don't ever want people to say, "Hey, you all right?" to me, and me bare all and say, "No, I'm not doing all right," and become an inconvenience because I know what that's like. So I just go with the classic, "Yeah, everything's fine."
I always do that. I could be having the worst day ever. How are you doing? Like, I'm amazing. Everything's great. But the reality of life is, and this is very true, not every day you're going to be happy. Not every day I wake up and I fling my curtains up and I'm like, do you know, like, our life is incredible. Because we're human, aren't we? And our brain is like the weather. It's sunny, it's cloudy, it's a mix. I'm lucky that I don't get depression, really. I'm very fortunate and blessed. I know it exists. I know it's out there. Because there was times when I was drinking, I'm thinking, maybe I've got a bit of depression, I feel real down. But when I stopped, I'm like, actually, I'm 10 times happier. And sometimes I do fling my curtains off. I'm like, what a glorious day. But, we're only human, so I might wake up tomorrow and I'm like, oh, God.
It's when people say, like, you've got to live every day like it's your last. I was like, well, if I did that, I'd be skint all the time.
That's a risky move, isn't it?
And I wouldn't be going to fucking work, would I? Do you know what I mean? If it was my last day, I wouldn't be doing that. So I think it's almost an impossible thing to
well, that was my danger, you see, because I used to live in Marbella in Spain, and I lived there for 6 years, so I was getting people into bars, where are you going tonight, blah, one of them annoying people.
Yeah, I was one of them.
What came with that was like, actually, I can get drinks behind the bar, so I'll be getting drinks behind the bar, going back out, getting more people in, and then I might get more drinks, and that kind of stemmed a real problem of, I wasn't living in reality. So for 6 years, I'm in Spain, and I'm like, beach all day, party by night.
Yeah.
My life's med, right? Life's perfect, but when you get older, and you're 30-something, I'm like, actually, this isn't as romantic as I thought, Stood on a street corner getting people in bars. Like.
I suppose it goes back to what you were saying earlier, like when you're younger.
There's only so many times you get told to piss off. You're like, actually, my fuse was getting shorter every year. Like, you what?
Like you said, it's them behaviours that when you're doing them in your early 20s, they're fine.
Yeah.
When you're in your late 30s, early 30s even, mid 30s, it's just not as endearing as it used to be.
And you feel like, I'm not saying this is true because I felt like a bit of a loser, really. I'm like, everyone's got their house together and everything's in order, and there's me. Get people in bars, It's a thing in your 20s, and I think in your 20s is an amazing thing to do. You come out of your shell, it learns you to communicate properly. But when I hit 30, I'm like, oh God, I've got a bit of arthritis now.
Well, and I'm doing this. It's all the things that used to be socially acceptable that just aren't anymore.
It was a great time to be alive, though. I fully enjoyed it. I don't miss, and I don't regret many things. It is what it is, isn't it? But I created some great memories over there.
And that's all it's about.
Yeah.
And you talk about what happens when you die, who knows? But I think when you're in your...
We will never know, and that's the beauty of life,
exactly, when you're in your 80s on your deathbed, the only thing you can be looking at is back at memories, isn't it?
And you know what? I always picture myself as an old man. I always picture myself as an 80-year-old man, and I think, would that bother me on my deathbed? Do you like these things when someone says something negative on your post, it's like, am I going to be 80 wishing to give more attention to that?
Yeah.
You're not, are you?
No, I had a bit of a back and forth with someone on social media last week. It was the first time I've done it in months.
Was it a proper ding dong?
It was just pointless. And then I realised I put effort into this all night, and it really ruined my mood. This guy, and then again, I normally give myself the insight and the foresight, so to say, is Is this going to bother me a week from now? No, and then I just don't engage in it if that's going to be the case. And I think that's what I need to do more. Well, I can feel myself slipping back into old habits with social media, but I didn't go on social media for like a year.
I've got a golden rule, yeah. Never respond to a troll. And it's very few and far between that I get them.
I know.
But when someone crops up, I'm like, delete block.
Yeah.
Instant block.
Yeah.
I don't entertain it. And if I do ever bite, I'm like, oh, for the rest of the day, I'm sat there thinking, why did I bite?
It ruins your mood, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like, it's just such a waste of my life. Like, you know, it's just bizarre. But some people will argue that black's green and blue's yellow.
I know, just for the sake of it.
Because I just sat at home on the board, they're like, I want to get a reaction out of him.
Yeah.
I've just won.
Exactly. What makes you feel disconnected from yourself then?
Being in a pub full of people who are incredibly drunk.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something that makes me really depressed. I'm like, this is so depressing. And I don't want to sound like I'm being awful and just attacking people who drink.
I get it, yeah.
I understand people go to work and you're entitled to have a drink. People work hard, right? Who am I to say don't drink? You know, it's not my position, but my problem isn't that. My problem is people who are getting incredibly drunk to a point they can barely stand. And I'm watching them and I'm like, oh, that's depressing.
Yeah.
But repeating themselves, talking about fighting, I'm like, oh God, I've been that guy.
That's exactly. Well, that's what I was going to ask.
This is cringy.
Yeah. So is it? It's less the behaviours that people are displaying, and it's more that you see your older self in those behaviours, that's what's frustrating.
And it scares me. I'm like, God, that was me.
Yeah. And that's why you probably found it more annoying than it probably should.
I think when I first stopped, there was a guy. I remember this. Oh, I've got you a shot. I said, oh, I don't drink anymore. What do you mean? I said, oh, I don't drink. He's like, oh, no, there's a shop there. I said, oh, yeah, no, I can see. He said, thank you, but I don't drink anymore. Oh, it's just one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I don't want to drink. And he kept pushing it, and I got angry. I said, listen, stop now. It's getting pathetic. I don't want it. Give it to him instead.
Yeah, give it to him who wants it.
Yeah, he wants it. Just point out some random guy. Like.
I did it on a work night recently, Christmas work night. I want people to get me shots. I was like, no, I don't do shots. Well, it's only one. I don't do shots.
That, I found work Christmas nights out very like, there's something about it that's like, oh, what could go right?
I normally
that person that you don't like the whole year when it's like, just so you know, you are a bit of a prick.
I give myself a couple of hours in them and then I think, right, I've had about 2 hours now. I've shown my face. I'm off.
We had a work do about 15 years ago and was in an Indian. And the whole place went up with tables and everything. Really? Like, oh my God. It was like a scene out of Bruce Lee, you know? Yeah. Because everyone's like, don't really like each other, but you just, you know, connecting over this night. Obviously, alcohol's involved.
Mixing alcohol in there,
It's a very risky move, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, how many people go back to work on like January, January, and they're like, oh my days, I'm dreading going back in the office. Why did I say that?
Yeah, you do, because
why did I flirt with her?
Exactly.
I sit next to her now.
Don't even like her.
Yeah, nightmare.
Tell me what sound or noise that you love, and is there a specific sound that I suppose something that takes you to a particular memory or something?
You know what? The sound that I love is a goal at 90+3, and I'm in the away stand, and he just limbs everywhere. Yeah, the sound of that. It's undefeated.
I love it when they say limbs everywhere because I know exactly what you mean.
Literally. Well, not anymore. I'm a bit more sensible now. So not me.
No, you got to. Well, you was in South Stand recently, weren't you? Yeah.
I was, yeah. Well, I moved seat because I used to be in the East Stand, but people were throwing bottles and stuff. And to be honest with you, when I was drunk, I'd be throwing them back. Yeah. But now I'm like, that's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
Enjoy the.
I'm pushing 40.
The nice.
It's not a good look.
The quiet of the thing is with the South Stand. It's like some days I enjoy it, other days I'm sat looking around, going, "Fucking hell,
do you know what?
We're boring, aren't we?"
I'm slowly edging towards West Upper.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's when I am a distinguished gentleman. I'm like, I'm just sat here with my flask of tea, you know.
A distinguished gentleman.
Because I did go through a phase where I started watching England. Yeah. This is when I was really lost in life. I was so lost in life.
You was watching England.
And I was on a train, right, and I'm in Hungary, of all places. And everyone was foreign. There was an English guy sat there. He said, are you English? I said, yeah. He goes, are you going to the England game? I said, aye. So I'm sat next to him. Within a few minutes, I'm like, this guy is dodgy, like. So I was meeting these guys, you know, so we had a few drinks and stuff, and I woke up the next day and I'm like, oh my God, I've been on Sky. I was on Sky, then the next England game, I managed to get on bloody ITV, and it was, to be honest, it's cringy behaviour. Yeah. Really cringy when I look back. Yeah. But again, I judge myself today. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's what I go back to saying, being with the wrong crowd is like, this guy was just an absolute nut job, and I'm like, oh, he's a legend. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking he's one of the boys, but when I look back, I'm like, what on earth was I doing? I wouldn't hang with him now.
Meeting people's energy is what we
energy,
do.
yeah.
You know, you sometimes if you're around the wrong people or people that you don't often, I think it goes back to that idea of wanting to be accepted as well.
Yeah, and
you're a bit of a chameleon. You can find some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm one of these people that I can find myself slowly trying to fit in just to feel part of a crowd or something.
I think that's what I want to be at. Going to the England games. I want to be one of the boys of the one of the England lads. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the same guy, by the way, this is what I mean. Don't hang around with people like that. Yeah. We're in the airport in Milan, and I said, "Oh, well, how to leave the shutters open when there's 600-pound trainers there?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I went, "Them trainers." He went, "I'm going to get them."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, don't." I said, "This can't." When you in an airport
of all places.
I said, "I'm with you. Don't be nicking them." He's like, "It'll be all right." He swipes them under the shutter, and he's come running out, and he's like, "Can you give me some clothes to change in?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm part of this now." Yeah. Just going through my suitcase, putting hats on, and we're going through security, and I'm like, I'm real on edge, do you know what I mean? He's fine, he's like real confident, but I'm thinking, I ain't used to this, getting nicked for that.
What sound or noise do you hate?
What do I hate?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. I can't think. Nothing really... Yeah, nothing that sticks in my mind there.
No, I thought you was going to say...
Maybe a 90+3 goal in the other end.
The other end, yeah. I was about to say
that is a horrific sound.
There's nothing worse. Especially, the QPR game recently, it was a really small crowd as well.
It was.
And it was really small. And the fact that you just hear them... You just sat there thinking...
The Leeds game for me was...
That was it, yeah.
3-1 up, and I thought, I'm getting out of here. So I goes to the kebab house. I thought, I'm going to change myself up with a kebab. It was like 3-2. I'm like, oh my God. Then when I went home, I checked my phone. 3-3. I'm like, you're joking.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You just hear the away, when the away stand.
It was, you wanted to see it? I'm like, oh, fuck.
I wish I did. I could
never walk out early.
Well, that's what we were saying. If you want a photographer, what would you like to attempt?
That's a very good one, that. I don't know. Do you know what? I like my history. So I'd probably do like a history page.
Yeah, I think
I love buildings and stuff like that. I look like someone who would not be interested in that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, you like photos. I'm like, you don't look anyone like
you'd like
what does a person look like who does that?
Yeah. Do you do much with like the whole history and stuff? Do you enjoy a lot of that?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with whole history.
Yeah.
Because I think my ancestors walked down here.
Yeah.
My ancestor had a shop down Paragon Street. So when I walk past them, I'm always looking, I'm like, you'd have opened that shop up one day.
Yeah.
And now I'm walking past there.
it, yeah.
I always think really deep like that.
Do you know what? There's a funny little story. That side table that you've got next to you. My great granddad made that. He had a shop up on Beverley Road over there, and he made furniture. And I found out a bit more about his story when I was doing like the ancestry stuff online, and saw that he was in court because he hadn't been paying his taxes and things like that.
Really?
But, I found that, and then was clearing out my granddad's shed, and it was my mum that told me. He said, "Oh, your great granddad made that." I was like, "Did he?" So yeah, he said, and I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, that makes sense because you used to have a shop up on Beverley Road." She was like, "Oh, I don't know about that," but anyway, it was quite funny to bring it back here, to bring it back to Beverley Road. So
this will have great sentimental value, won't it?
Well, you'd think not so much because
right.
I only.
That's a plot twist.
Well, the thing is, I only discovered it a couple of months ago.
Right.
And it was like I needed a side table. I'll bring it here. But
I think some things like have up money on.
Yeah, it's just funny to look at that and think actually he carved that design and he put all that together. But it's hard to have sentimental value when I don't know who he was.
Do you know
what I mean? It's just an object that someone that from
you don't have that emotional attachment. Do you?
Exactly. Yeah, that my great. But I do think it's interesting thing. I did see something online recently. It said like the furniture that my grandparents used to leave me in. It's this real grand furniture, and it's the furniture that I leave my children. It was just like these IKEA fucking quick things.
Do you know what?
That you put on
Nowadays,
flat pack furniture.
Oh my God, what is that? Don't you think though? Back in the days, people took pride in making things a lot more. I look at the houses, the design of things. They looked a lot better nowadays. I'm like, what's that?
Let's just get things up done as quick as possible,
it's just
as cheap
speed,
as
isn't it?
possible. Yeah.
You look at how houses are built. I'm like, what on earth is that?
I live in an ex-council house and I was having some work done, and the guy that was doing it said, "Oh, you'll be fine." He said, "Ex-council." He said they didn't spare no change here. They just put everything in. It's like the amount of cement that's in this curb. When I was trying to get it out, he said, "Oh, they just used to fucking put buckets loads in." He said, "Now they'd put the tiniest amount in."
Was it a defining moment for you when you thought, I'm getting old? Because it happened to me.
Gone.
I was in Levesley Square and I'm just walking along my business. And I just stopped dead in my tracks and I looked at this roof and I'm like, I wonder who made that roof. Yeah. And for about 5 minutes, I just stopped staring at this like thatched roof, and I'm like, what an amazing roof. And this guy approached me and he's going, "You looking at that roof?" I went, "Yeah." He went, It's great, isn't it? Isn't it great? I went, oh, Billy, do you know? And we're having this real deep chat. And then after about 5 minutes chatting, I walked away and it just hit me, just like a penny drop moment. God, I'm actually old. I've never done that in my life.
I found that. I like little European holidays. And I found that, like, I love going in old churches. I realised I was getting old because it was, again, because there was built for worship. There's just really grand designs, even like small poorer areas. Do you know what I mean? It was like really grand designs, and it's just, I think, you just look at it and you think, they don't make things like this anymore.
It's amazing. When I always go in church, sometimes go in little random villages, and I'm like, the first thing I do, I try and get in the church, because I'm like, I feel connected.
Well, that's it. You go to a little village, and it's like, there's fuck all there. Yeah. It's like a corner shop, and then like a post office, some houses, and then there's this massive church, and it's like, it just goes to show, doesn't it?
I think, I could be wrong, I don't know, but I think nearly all villages have a church, right?
Yeah.
Is that a true statement?
Well, I don't know, but you'd think if it was kind of done now, it'd be like a shed turned into
I'm careful
a church,
where I loiter around, because I look a bit suspect, so I'm like, I don't really loiter around someone's back garden, but no, churches, I like going in. And,
I just recently thought...
I feel connected. Yeah. But sometimes if I'm going by myself, I'm like thinking I'm nicking something.
That's it, yeah.
Even though I would never do that, I'm thinking, oh God, look a bit dodgy in here.
Look a bit dodgy, yeah. Just don't let you fit into those
I'm just self-aware of that, it's like...
What profession would you not like to do?
To be honest with you, and I sound really lazy, a manual job. I've done it before, and within just... Oh, it's so bad.
Nothing motivating, be honest.
I did it once. I worked with my dad. He goes, I'm going to work in a build. I said, I'll do it. I said, I'll do a day there. So we went, I think it was in Leeds or something like that. And within about half an hour, he goes, pick them cables up. So I'm walking his cable. I'm like, my back's gone. And I thought, I'm on a manly site. I can't whinge about my back. Yeah. I said to my dad, my back's playing up a bit. I bet he's thinking, oh my God.
First day.
Who have I raised? Yeah. He's so weak. And then at the end of the day, it was like 8 o'clock and I had these boots on. I'm like, oh my God. I had blisters in my feet and... It was horrific. I actually went home, it was like a scene out of a movie. I'd gone home and I'd sat in the shower, literally sat in the shower, and I'm like, I'm in bits. Yeah. I messaged him and said, I can't come in tomorrow. I said, I need a few weeks off.
Need a day off.
Because I'm not used to it, you see.
Well, that's it. And
all man's online or...
Yeah, that's it. We're
taking pictures, that's my kind of thing.
We're just soft, aren't we?
We're a soft generation now, and that's my fault. At least I'm honest.
If you lost everything, your platform, your audience, your recognition, who would you be?
I'd cry for a day and then I'd be like, right, I'm going to reinvent myself. And I'm not one to cry over spilt milk. Whatever happens, happens. I had a few bad cards dealt with me last year.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was surprised how quick I bounced back. Because usually I'd have been in bits for like 6 months, and now I'm like, I have an ability just to bounce back so quick. So, sorry, back to the question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure on that one.
Do you feel like you'd lose your sense of purpose a little bit?
I think so. I'd be disappointed that I can't help people and I can't share Hull. And share Hull's pictures and videos because I love it so much. So yeah, I'd probably cry for a day.
Then it's hard to say.
And have my curtains closed. Maybe I'll deliver room and then think, I need to shape a better future now.
And then lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You took some good pictures.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for joining me, John. Been a pleasure.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
And if you've enjoyed this episode of the Believe in People podcast, we'd love for you to share it with others who might find it meaningful. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leaving a review will help us reach more people and continue challenging stigma around addiction and recovery. For additional resources, insights and updates, explore the links in this episode description. And to learn more about our mission and hear more incredible stories, you can visit us directly at believingpeoplepodcast.com.